roofing for you has always been the niche you were involved with, or when you started your paper lead journey, did you try other niches?
Yeah, so I've skipped around a little bit and done a little bit of hopping in different niches and industries. I still have fingers dipped into a couple of different pies in the UK, in the insurance and finance markets, and then primarily roofing in the US. I had a few retainer clients before obviously getting involved in paper leads, and then obviously started really going hard in roofing after joining Dan's course, and still got a few toes in personal injury as well, but it is predominantly roofing.
Okay, excellent. And before you joined the actual Paper Lead Mastermind course itself, were you involved with marketing before that?
Yes, yeah. So running Facebook ads, probably 2015, I want to say, so a few years. I started off as a white label agency just because I was working a full-time job and, trying to get my own clients, trying to work a full-time job, trying to spend time with the missus and, everything else, live a life. I didn't have the time to, prospect and do sales calls, fulfill, all that stuff. I was basically a freelancer. So started doing white label for other agencies. I sort of had a network of US friends that were all doing Facebook ads for mortgage brokers, for roofers, for personal injury attorneys, and all different types of markets. And so, I started white labeling for those guys, but quickly got a little bit sick of it. Obviously, taking a lesser margin and doing a lot of the work didn't really appeal. So started then doing my own retainers, and obviously started getting really bogged down with, just becoming people's employees, basically being tied down to, a monthly salary, as it were, like the retainer model sort of sometimes puts across. A lot of the clients that sort of start to see you as an employee rather than an agency that they're hiring.
Yeah, and how did you come across the whole idea of paper lead and cost per lead?
I think it was like I was in that predicament. I was a bit sick and tired of, being bogged down by these retainers. And then obviously just found Dan. I think it just seen his little head pop up in my Facebook feed one day. I think it was he's strolling down Brighton on the promenade. It was one of his first ads, I think, or it was definitely just as he'd launched the course. It might have been the first webinar. I'm not sure. We got added into a little group, and then the webinar was due to go, and it sort of resonated with me straight away. So I didn't hesitate and signed up.
Excellent. Okay, and that was when?
Last year. So that was probably around this time last year. It might have been September. I'm not too sure exact. It was around the end of summer last year.
And how long did it take you to move away or transform from the traditional retainer type agreement over to the paper lead model?
So it was pretty quick. I still had some retainers. I still do have some retainers as well, which are big retainers and obviously like easy work, as it were. But I no longer prospect for retainers. It was pretty quick. I had introductions. Dan introduced me to a couple of buyers in the UK in some of the markets that I was looking to get started in the insurance and finance markets. So it was pretty quick. I had my first customer, as it were, within a few days.
Wonderful.
From an introduction from Dan himself. So it's cool.
After you started, for example, working with Dan and you started in the paper lead course, how quickly before you really saw the big picture and began to get excited about the potential?
It was pretty straight. It was on the webinar. It was on the first webinar that we saw before I even signed up to the course. Like I said, I was in that. As soon as I saw the ad that Dan was running, it resonated with me because I was in that. I was in the mind frame. As soon as I saw the ad, I was in that mind frame where I was just sick of working with retainer clients. They were really bogging me down, and I was mainly running mortgage retainers. So it's a massively saturated niche in the US. A lot of agencies running ads for mortgage brokers. So the price cutting was huge. People were offering $500 a month to run the Facebook ad campaigns, and so like there was just you were working for pennies really, and obviously, it was just stressful. So I was in that mindset. I was definitely looking for another way of doing it rather than working retainers.
Okay, well, I mean, you obviously do have quite a bit of experience within marketing before you joined the course. But what would you say? What sort of person would you say would get the most benefit out of Dan's Paper Lead course?
I think, to be fair, like no matter what level, like I had the experience. I'd been running Facebook ads for 3 or 4 years. I'd made decent money off retainers, but I was just like sick of the retainer model. So like it would work beautifully for people like who are in my position, who are currently doing retainers and looking for a different way. And then as well, it probably work even better for people who are looking to get started, who haven't done anything yet, because obviously they don't have the stress of the retainer clients.
Yeah.
And all levels of the scope, I guess.
Excellent. And as far as income potential is concerned, would you say that the Paper Lead model is a little bit more lucrative, or would you say that it's twice as lucrative? How would you sort of judge them when somebody's trying to say to themselves, well, if I move over here with the same sort of clients, I would make, just about the same but with less stress, or I would make more? How would you compare that?
For me, Paper Lead model is way more profitable. And it's different because like the agency retainer model is like, I don't want to say it is still profitable, but you have to have a big team. You have to scale, because like for instance, when I was doing retainers primarily, I was like a one-man band. I had a couple of VAs, but I was a one-man band. There's only so many retainer clients you can handle before you're gonna pull all your hair out. So you've got a very low ceiling, and you have to build a team to be able to scale and handle more clients. Yep. So, there's that aspect of it. Whereas with the Paper Lead model, you can be a one-man band and you can easily handle 10 to 20 big buyers who all, you could profit as much as possible. Like if they were all in the same niche, or like if you had 10 big roofing buyers all spending 10K each with you, that's 100K in revenue straight away a month, and you can run it all from, it's all very duplicatable, right? So it's a much easier model to make money from, I think.
Yeah, I think it's one thing that a lot of people fail to understand about this model is if you are within the same niche, the amount of work that it takes to take on a new client is truly minimal compared to the regular sort of agreement where, you're building a whole new system for them, new websites, new landing pages, new everything. I mean, if somebody came to you now with a unwanted roofing leads, how long would it take you to get them on board as a new client? How much work would it take you?
It'd be half an hour's work. It'd just be plugged into Leadspedia, and that'd be it. We just add their zip codes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Whereas, the other way around is infinitely more stress and probably more employees, which is great. So you did the course a good year ago, and the course has obviously grown quite a bit since then. Have you seen how much the course has grown?
I have, yeah. I've been through it. I still check in regularly to see what else is in there and see if there's anything else that I can take and mold into what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just went through the course, finished the course again last week, and we've got, I think it's 87 videos at the moment. There's like 93 downloadable resources, so it is fairly comprehensive for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you finished that, did you feel yourself that you were absolutely and totally in control and ready to conquer the universe?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a great little. It is really good. Like I said before, like from whether it's beginner or advanced, there's definitely something in it for everyone, for all levels. And it's not too like there's some courses out there that are either really designed for beginners, like it's very basic, or they're way advanced and like beginners have no chance. So this is great for all levels. There's something in it for everyone, and it's very, very actionable. You can get up and running. You can follow the steps and get up and running straight away.
Excellent. And with regards to the connections you made, obviously you've mentioned Ben that you're doing a lot of work with. If you were to put a dollar value on the connections that you made within the flexible group with Ben, what would that mean to you dollar-wise?
Well, it's already, like we've been working together a couple of months, and it's already, you know, six figures. So like, it's going to be seven, even eight figures by the time we're done. And the idea is that we build an asset that we can flip and sell for a big profit.
And which niche would you move into after that?
And I got my eyes on solar. I think we're rolling solar right now. We're going to stay in the home improvements niche, and we're going to just take over the game in solar, windows, siding and gutters, everything that relates really well to the roofing companies that we're already working with. They have, other businesses, they have other arms of the business, other branches of the business. So it really makes sense.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're not appearing in any videos for marketing for people in the US, though, are you, with your accent?
What are you saying about my accent?
Well, I spent 10 years in New York, and I really did have to make my accent a little less English for a lot of people, especially down south, to understand me. But I was just joking. Anyway, I've got one last question for you, if I may. And that is, what words of advice would you give somebody who is considering getting involved with Dan's Paper Lead Mastermind?
I'd definitely just say, just go for it. If you're serious about, steering out of retainers and obviously getting a more profitable, less stressed business, then you got to just go for it. And then obviously for those who are maybe looking and not sure, they've never done anything like this before, this is the easiest way for you to hit whatever goals, whatever income goals you've got. This is definitely by far the easiest model. For sure.
And even for people that aren't familiar with paper leads, you think they can get started pretty quickly after they finish the course?
For sure, 100%. And if not even, like I'm prime example, not even, like if you're worried about the sales side of things and like the prospecting side, there's however many 100 people in the group that are all potential partnerships. And then you've got Dan, who also has a massive network of people that he's worked with in the past that are just ridiculously, whale buyers. People are buying thousands and thousands of leads every month that he can also connect you with. And he's connected me with, he was, the first buyer that I had in the UK was through Dan. He connected me with Dan. He's connected me with 2 or 3 more as well.
Fantastic. So in your particular case then, although the course was obviously a good investment for you, the connections you made was obviously an incredible investment for you.
Yeah, that's, the course is great, but like the connections way more valuable.
Yeah.
Way more valuable. Yeah. And that's what it's about. Like, you got connections. That's what I'd recommend is definitely, even if it's not for the course, for the connections, it's more than worth it.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, thank you. We've been on the phone for half an hour, which is, I think, probably what I promised. You're obviously a very successful guy, and I'm very grateful for the time, and Dan certainly sends his best wishes, and thanks you for the time you spent with us today. Is there anything that we can do for you this end, bearing in mind our video will be seen both by the Flexible group as well as our Paper Leads Ninja group, who are more like a sandbox group, but is there something that we can do for you connections-wise with this video?
All good. Not take the mick out of my accent.
I take the mick out of everybody's bloody accent. All right. Well, Thomas, thank you again very much for your help, and congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.